and welcome to our celebration of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. I'm Eric Richards.
And I'm Liberty Zavala. Asians and Pacific Islanders have played a vital role in communities across the country.
From food and the arts to family and moments across history, we are going to explore some of that impact right now, starting with a gift from Japan that delights people around the world. Cherry blossoms have been symbols of Japan's friendship with the United States for 100 years.
Their lavish bloom can be enjoyed in cities across the country, usually with colder climates. So how do they survive in sunny San Diego? Maria Arcega Dunn got a look at what it takes to grow these beautiful Asian trees.
They are undoubtedly one of the most recognizable and beautiful flowers in the world. These pale pink Japanese flowers are called sakura in Japan, and they draw people from far and wide just hoping to catch a glimpse of them. But more than that, they signify renewal, and they're an indication that spring has finally arrived. The peak time for bloom is usually late March into early April. The cherry blossom is widely celebrated in Asian countries, but you can find them right here in San Diego at the Japanese Friendship Garden in Balboa Park.
You can see like all of our azaleas start to bloom, which just adds even more pink to the garden.
Mariah Williams of the Japanese Friendship Garden says, like many places where they grow, the cherry trees were a gift and are a symbol of our longtime friendship with Japan.
We were given 150 cherry blossom trees from the Asakawa family, who is the family who ran the original tea house years ago. It is no longer around, but in the early 2000s when they donated 150 of them.
150 trees that seem perfectly at home in this Japanese-like garden in the middle of San Diego. Mariah says it takes a lot to keep them healthy, though, and thriving in our warm and dry climate.
I know that our cherry blossom trees, sometimes they may need to be modified to grow here, but we do our best to integrate.
Head gardener Venancio Carreño tends to this grove, and he says these cherry blossoms usually prefer much cooler climates.
Usually, they need some 2 months really cold for having the real on the real natural way they have to grow.
And because of San Diego's hot climate, adjustments have to be made.
The trees that we have, they are pink cloud, they're specific because they are pink. And they are grafted because the top part is the pink cloud, but the bottom is a different kind for this specific weather. This is we call the lower graft because it's very short, the wild cherry tree.
Though the warmer weather makes it difficult for those in charge of their care, it also has its advantages. For most cherry blossoms, the springtime bloom is extremely short-lived, but not here.
Cherry blossoms typically only last a week to 2 weeks. I do feel like ours seem to last longer because with the weather of San Diego being different than Japan, sometimes one tree will be in bloom and the next hasn't even blossomed yet, so we get a more elongated blooming experience here. But that's part of the beauty of cherry blossoms is they don't last that long, so you really want to take that moment to come experience them for yourselves and enjoy the beauty of the blossoms.
Giving admirers visiting San Diego's Japanese cherry blossoms more time to take in and celebrate the lavish pale pink springtime spectacle. In San Diego, I'm Maria Arcega Dunn.
Now to a recipe for the American dream, hard work and no days off. Christina Adencial introduces us to a Chinese-American family of baristas who are serving more than just coffee.
Well, it's a story about sisterhood and a love for their mother. And in the process, they created their own American dream. It's business as usual at S3 Coffee Bar in Grantville. Despite opening their new drive-through building 3 days before the initial COVID-19 lockdown in March of 2020, coffee's a brewing and business is booming.
We never knew that this was going to become something so special to us.
Claudia Kwong is one of 3 sisters, or S3, the namesake of this coffee shop. But in fact, they had little to no experience in the barista arena when they opened.
We basically just winged everything. We're like, well, how do you do this? Well, let's Google it.
Instead, S3 was birthed out of love for their Chinese mother, Mama May.
Like me growing up with Asian parents that didn't really speak English, like 100%, it is hard to find a job. So it's very known between them and their friends to always open up their own businesses because, you know, if you can't find one, then you create one. We were looking for a job for my mom and she couldn't find a job. So we're like, okay, we'll just open up a coffee shop.
The start of their American dream was sparked by getting their hands dirty and putting in grueling hours themselves, traits they learned from their parents.
Definitely no days off. I grew up seeing my parents work, you know, like from opening to close, like every day. You are cleaning the bathroom, mopping the floor, you know, taking out the trash.
And so 63-year-old Mama May went to work alongside her daughters. And as it turns out, Claudia, who is full-blooded Chinese but born in Mexico, found that being trilingual was a necessity in her fast-paced workplace. In the beginning, there were 6 employees, 4 of which were from the Kwong family. Today, they have nearly 30 workers. Nothing could have prepared S3 or Mama May for their American dream to create opportunities for their community.
I know that we wanted to open it to provide a job for my mom, and now we're providing it for the community, which is something that is so surreal for me.
Shining a light on the secret war in Vietnam, why thousands of Hmong settled in Central California after fleeing Southeast Asia decades ago, and the fight for equality that's still underway today. Plus,
how a cancer survivor is boosting representation on the stage, one performance at a time, when our celebration of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month returns.
it's been nearly 50 years since Hmong people first began migrating to Central California.
Here's Gabriel Salazar with the history behind these refugees and how the fight continues today.
California's Central Valley is home to the largest Hmong population in the United States. Nearly 50 years ago, the first Hmong people began migrating to Fresno after the Vietnam War, fleeing Southeast Asia in search for a new home. In 1961, the Vietnam War spread into Laos, and the United States recruited the Hmong people to fight the communists. The Hmong wanted to maintain their independence and were recruited and trained by the U.S. military to fight against the communists during the war. This was the beginning of what was known as the Secret War. On May 15, 1975, surviving Hmong soldiers and their families were forced to flee Laos to avoid persecution for aiding American soldiers and serving alongside the United States Central Intelligence Agency in the Vietnam War. Cher Chai Vang was only 16 years old when he was recruited by U.S. soldiers to fight in the war, and remembers seeing his closest friends dying in the hands of the North Vietnamese army.
Between death and life, so we could not or could no longer live there because we have been served for the United States as the Secret War.
V. Vang stands beside this commemorative landmark in downtown Fresno, which depicts 2 Hmong soldiers helping a downed American pilot during the Secret War, serving hand in hand with American soldiers.
There was a lot of lives lost. Sometimes 15 to 20 people would go save a downed American pilot. However, on the way back, of those 15 or 20 people, you only get 3 back along with the pilot.
However, there is one more fight ahead of them.
Currently, these veterans, we have about 5,000 to 6,000 that's remaining.
When the Hmong Veterans Naturalization Act was passed, honorary American citizenship was granted to thousands of Hmong veterans and their families to the United States. However, they do not receive the same benefits and programs available to U.S. veterans.
They fought for the same cause. They fought for the United States interests. And so they feel like they've been left out.
But for the Hmong soldiers who eventually made the Central Valley their home, they now focus on education, which is something they couldn't do in Laos.
So thinking back about that life and death situation in Laos, how do you feel about making America your home nearly 50 years ago?
The language is the #1 barrier for our Hmong people, because back then in Laos, we didn't have time to go to school because the war. The communists come along wherever we go. They come along and fighting us, so we have no permanent place, no school.
Many Hmong refugees chose to live in Fresno because of the extensive farmland and mild weather, trying to use the farming skills they knew in Southeast Asia.
Before the war, 1961, most of our family, especially Hmong, we were farming, and we earned living from farming.
Additionally, Fresno is home to the largest Hmong New Year celebration in the world.
We brought hundreds of thousands of people to Fresno, especially during the Hmong New Year, which financially we contribute a lot to the Central Valley, the Fresno area.
A lot of veterans of America and the Hmong people, they stress and want to make this a resemblance so that future generations can understand that what they've gone through, they can forever be seen here.
As the number of living Hmong veterans continues to diminish, one last fight for equality so that the memory of these soldiers won't be forgotten. In Fresno, Gabe Salazar.
Earlier this year, ceremonies across the country marked 80 years since Japanese internment camps were first authorized. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066 on February 19, 1942. It allowed the U.S. government to forcibly remove and imprison Japanese citizens at the height of World War II. In total, more than 120,000 people were relocated, roughly 2/3 of them American citizens. For many, the history is still fresh and painful.
I was so young, I didn't even know what imprisonment was. For me at that time, it was nothing. But now at my age and experience, it was tragic.
Sam Shimada, who you just heard from, was one of several survivors honored during a ceremony at our state capitol. A dozen billboards also went up around the area to remind people of the dark chapter in American history.
Many Asian Pacific Americans say they are often underrepresented in arts, media, and entertainment. I went to a performing arts center in Southeast San Diego to see how one woman is trying to change that. For artists at Mariah Performing Arts, the world is their stage.
I'm excited about seeing the audience and people I know.
Here, actors use their surroundings as a stage and the audience moves to different sets with the performers.
It's an interactive and participatory experience, and we're really breaking down that fourth wall so that the audience is truly engaging with the performers.
That's not the only wall they're tearing down. Mariah accepts actors who may not normally be exposed to the stage.
We have racially diverse students, we have geographically diverse students, we have social economic diverse students, and neurodiverse students, including those with autism and ADHD and Tourette's.
That inclusion helped AJ Ganji and his brother with autism, Eddie, perform together for the first time.
I didn't think that Eddie would be able to be in it with me, but then when I found out that Mariah was accepting kids with autism, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, Eddie!
As a first-generation Filipina American, owner Anjanette Mariah Ramey knows how important representation is.
I didn't see a lot of representation, especially with Black, Indigenous people of color and Asian Americans growing up, so I wanted to start a company that would enable the next generations to see reflections of themselves and the diversity that is San Diego.
Mariah offers low-cost training in music, dance, and theater to provide a spotlight for performers of all kinds.
I was inspired after my 3-year battle with a rare form of leukemia. I got a second chance at life, and I feel that I am living out my dreams.
Mariah is already planning their next musical production. It's set to take place in the fall. Bridging cultures through cooking. A look at how food is something that connects us all when our celebration of Asian Pacific American heritage returns. Food is something that connects us all, regardless of our backgrounds. Elizabeth Din sat down with a colleague to explore how cuisine bridges us to different cultures.
We're gonna do the pork xiaolongbao soup dumpling, because we have to have dumplings.
We have to have dumplings.
So I know you were born in Seattle, right? Or Seattle
Yes.
area?
I was born in Seattle, and my mom actually emigrated from Taiwan in her 20s and met my dad. I think what's interesting about my background is that people can't really tell that I look or that I am Chinese. I think a lot of folks look at me and say, maybe there's something there, but it's never Chinese as the first guess. Teachers even have said that I lied throughout school. So that was just kind of strange because there's nothing to lie about, you know? Like, I have a Chinese mom, I'm half Chinese, I'm very proud of it. And that was something that was strange to me growing up. I'm a very white-passing Asian person, so I also never had too many struggles with racism in that sense. And I know that's a huge issue still in this day and age, and stuff that my mom has faced too, going out to stores and being harassed by people. So I got that end of the stick and didn't deal with that, but folks like my brother and some of my half-Asian friends who did turn out to look more Asian than I did dealt with those issues. You know, trying to fit into the Asian culture, it wasn't easy. You're looked at as an outsider, and then, you know, to go around and say that I'm Asian, people say that I'm lying. So it definitely put me in a spot where I didn't really know how to act. And now that I'm older, I just wish that at the time I just had the courage to be like, this doesn't matter. Like, I am me, I am half Asian, and I am proud of this. So I guess like now I just really try to share as much as I can about the Asian culture in a way that's easiest for me, and that's just through cooking and eating.
That connects us, you know? And you said it's like, whether you go out to eat here, you're with your friends, or you're at home in your kitchen, I think that's like, it goes over boundaries of language. Yeah. Food connects us.
I make steam baos, and I think that is what connects me mostly to my mom. Just using the steamer, having to pleat the dough, and I make them quite often too.
How did you learn?
I learned through watching my mom, and then also a lot of stuff online. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
谢谢. You have to say 谢谢 is how you say thank you.
谢谢.
The vinegar is so good.
Yeah.
Like it's like such a nice balance to the meatiness of one full dumpling. That's one of my favorite dishes. I had it the first time when I was in Taiwan, and something about the texture of the vegetables, it's amazing. To see all of the buildings, see Tiananmen Square, like see the Great Wall, and just do all of these things and really immerse myself in the culture and really the food. Was one of the best trips I've ever taken. So I have been to Taiwan and China. I have relatives in Beijing and also in Taipei. So it was really cool to go there. I was a senior in college, so when I was older and enough to kind of understand the culture and have, you know, more in-depth conversations with my relatives who are all English speaking.
Comfort food is what brings you back to a great place and a dish that reminds you of that.
Yeah, it just brings back such a good feeling and so much happiness for me, and just a good connection back to my mom. My boyfriend is half Korean, so I've been able to learn about his culture. Mm-hmm. He also has a white father and a Korean mother, so I've learned a lot of cooking technique from her, and it's just, you know, because I'm interested in this, it's brought our relationship closer. I think food is so great because it really opens the door and allows you to see other people's perspectives on things, on life, on their opinions, and food is just the gateway to that.
In Portland, Elizabeth Din.
Making California rolls by the tons, we introduce you to the South Bay business catering some of San Diego's largest events. A South Bay business serving up sushi for more than 60 years. It started as a Japanese family-owned shop passed down from generation to generation before ending up in Filipino hands. I spoke to the owner who's been rolling up his sleeves for decades.
Anyone can do food, right? Anyone can make a California roll, but we do we do tons of it.
You can't miss the sign outside Kyoto, a traditional Japanese market in National City.
So it's been around in this area for over 60 years. And Mama-san started, she had it for 30. And my buddy who sold it to us, he had it for the second 30. And then we took it over in 2018.
Once you walk inside, you are immersed in history, plenty of culture, and, well, sushi on a roll, a small restaurant found in the back of the store, a place true locals know all about. Many folks also know Sushi on a Roll as a catering company owned and operated by San Diego native Jeff Robert.
You know, not knowing, coming out of high school, getting a phone call to work doing sushi, I thought I'd do it for like 3 weeks, 3 months maybe. And 32 years later, he's still rock and rolling,
And his business is definitely on a roll. He caters to the masses, being able to feed tens of thousands of people with very little manpower. His biggest gig ever?
16,000 people in one day, yeah. So
where was that?
Qualcomm. Qualcomm turned 25. We did a 25th anniversary.
Robert and his staff ended up making 43,000 pieces of sushi that day. And if you aren't looking for thousands of sushi rolls, maybe try an intimate experience at Kyoto, up close and personal.
We do a lot of demos like this. A lot of people want to see how it's cut. They want to taste the fresh fish, definitely. So the collar is good. Kind of barbecue it, grill it, money.
Taste, quality, passion, and devotion to his community is why all these years later, Robert is still on a roll and has succeeded.
It's when you get a little girl, boy, says that your California roll is the best, right? You had a hard day, and one guy just like, oh, this is so good. And I think that's why a lot of us cook, right? Is to get that response.
If you are interested in learning more about any of the people or businesses profiled today, just head to our website, fox5sandiego.com. I'm Eric Richards.
And I'm Liberty Zabala. Thank you for joining us for this celebration of Asian Pacific American heritage.